Hi, friends. Hi, Teddy is here. Keith is here. Keith's getting coffee before we start. Yes, please get some coffee. It never hurts to have it, you know? I have water because I'm hydrating. I will mention running one last time in my life before, because the next time you see me, I will have just run the LA Marathon. I'm running the marathon on Sunday.
For the what time?
My second time. Supposedly, nobody ever runs 2 marathons. Either you run one or you run them all. So
are you gonna quit just to prove that wrong, or are you gonna?
Maybe. I'm not sure I'll do LA again. I don't love the LA course. It's kind of cool to run through downtown and run through Hollywood and just see people like families and kids and dogs, and they've got like trays of oranges and hilarious signs, and it's a lot of fun to do it. Hi, Katie, glad you're here. Hi, Justin. Hi, Chris. Hi, Micah.
I went to Amoeba yesterday in Hollywood, and they had I saw a giant wall-size sign that is clearly designed for marathoners when you come running by it.
What does it say?
It's like a Nike billboard that says something like, "Remember why you signed up to do this in the first place," or something.
Great. I will look for that and think about that. Yeah. So I promise I will stop talking about running eventually. If you are a member of our Patreon at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay, we are doing our monthly lunch date on Monday, 2 p.m. Pacific, the Monday after the marathon. So I'm going to drag my ass over to this chair and talk to folks. So if you are already a member of Lunch Date, tremendous. Come join us at this weird day and time. If you are not, there are ways to find out more about it right there on our Patreon. So Movie News Live. Raina says that she is happy that you're better, Alonzo.
Thank you. I tested negative this week, so that is behind me now.
So great. I'm so glad you're feeling better. And Obi says that we are sounding and looking great. And Mick says the Long Beach Marathon is easier. Yes, because it's flat. That's true. Yeah. The first 6 miles of LA are hilly, but exciting. So thank you for that. Marty says, I have a friend here in town who's run the Boston Marathon and Ironman. Crazy. Baxter is not running with me, Ed. No, because Baxter can like walk 2 blocks down the street. He is super elderly and slow these days.
You would be pushing a carriage the whole time.
People across the street have said, we have a little carriage if you want it. I'm like, he's not there yet. We're really close, but we're not quite there. Anyway, but he did hang out with me on Oscar night on that couch back there. We have some Oscar news to discuss. The ratings were up slightly from last year. They were the highest ratings for the Oscars in 4 years. 19.5 million people watched them, and several hundred of those were on a live stream with me for 4 hours straight. So thank you for being there. We did an Oscar live stream with reactions on Monday. In case you missed that, that is out here in the world. Mick Lebowski has a quick question. How is a Patreon different from YouTube membership? They have some similar stuff. Patreon, you get our TV recaps. We're going to do our Feud, Capote versus the Swans finale today. We do a thing called Off the Menu on our Patreon, where our members get to pick from a poll different choices of movies that they want to see us review. We're going to do Showgirls next week for a Razzie themed one. So all the details are at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. And so come check it out. So yes, the Oscars, people watched them. Al Pacino has explained what happened with Best Picture. Did you see this?
Yes. And apparently the same thing happened with Laurence Olivier, like at some point during his life too, where they just send the guy out there and they're like, well, we've been showing the nominees all night. Just read the winner. And then it looks like a mistake.
Also, he just looked confused. Right. And also, I think they didn't mention all 5 of the original song nominees in the same way. You know, you've seen all the songs performed. Now here's who the winner is. But he just looked confused. My eyes see Oppenheimer. So it just looked really confusing, I think. Like he was confused, and especially given the whole Faye Dunaway, Warren Beatty fiasco from a few years back.
Yeah. That they need to start sending out, like, you know, this is where the child stars come in, I think. You know, maybe something a little more. Who's the hot teen we can send out with the Best Picture envelope? They can be a little more reliable, maybe.
Right. We need Disney Channel razzmatazz, you know, precocious rat-a-tat timing to do all
Vanessa Hudgens
that.
was already there. She was working the red carpet, like in her 3rd trimester, I want to say. So she could have hung around and done Best Picture.
Yeah. But he put out a really nice statement saying, I, as an artist, as an actor, as a director, I understand what it means to create something. I in no way meant to disregard all the work of all these 10 great nominees, just I did what they told me to do. And so
Exactly.
Kelly Robb says, hello, Chrissy and Alonzo. I'm so excited to catch Alive. We are excited that
Welcome.
you are here. Yes, welcome. Also, Jonathan Glazer, hold on one sec. You know what? I got to turn the thing off. Hold on.
Nope.
That was going to be noisy for a second, and we wanted to not have extra noise. Okay, so Jonathan Glazer, director
Yes.
of The Zone of Interest, gave a speech that, in retrospect, has been really controversial. Alonzo, will you please elaborate?
Well, I think he knew at the time it was going to be controversial because you could tell he was reading a statement and his hands were shaking. Yeah, he basically was saying that this guy who made a film about the Holocaust, made a film about genocide, and is saying that he refutes the idea that that his Jewishness and that the Holocaust could be used as a shield for what's happening in the world right now. It was unfortunately originally reported by Variety in a truncated format and then that went around the world while the truth was putting its pants on.
Yeah.
And a lot of people sort of twisted his words around to say, oh, he's refuting his Jewishness. And that's not what he said. But at the same time, there were also a lot of people who were like very supportive and glad that he had said that he spoke for many Jewish people in the world. So, yes, it was a controversial statement and he knew it was going to be, and it was. And, I think it would have been weird for him not to say something, given that he is making a film about literal genocide,
Yeah, no, I think you could tell the emotion in his face and his voice. And as you say, his hands were shaking in that moment. Yeah. And whatever he said, he was going to potentially anger, alienate somebody. It is such an emotional issue that taking a stand at all in any way is going to anger somebody else. It's so complicated. So I'm not taking any kind of stand on this in this moment. And neither are you, I don't think, Alonzo, but I wanted to just mention that that Jonathan Glazer's speech has had reverberations all week long here. Yes. He was our winner of Best Director at LA Film Critics. The Zone of Interest was our Best Picture winner.
Yeah.
So that is a film that we admire greatly, but that is what's happening now. Also, the animated feature winner, The Boy and the Heron, Hayao Miyazaki's final film, is going to be back in theaters on March 22nd. So if you saw that won and you were surprised by that and you're like, what is this Boy and Heron movie? You can go check it out in theaters next weekend. So
yeah. And I mean, talk about a filmmaker whose work is really designed for the big screen. You really do want to have that experience.
Yeah. Ed pointed out he refuted the hijacking of his Jewishness, not his Jewishness itself.
Correct. Yes.
Exactly. Yeah. And as you say, like that got out there wrong. He was speaking in kind of a low, mumbly voice, but then, anyway, the transcript got out there. So hopefully we can
correct the record.
Correct the record. Yeah. Get that all figured out. Yes, for sure. Okay. So we have other new movie news to talk about, a lot of which involves Emma Stone. Best Actress winner Emma Stone is going to be in the next Yorgos Lanthimos movie. We've known that for a little while now, but we now have a release date. Kinds of Kindness will come out on June 21st. It reunites her with Willem Dafoe, who was her father figure in Poor Things. Also Jesse Plemons, Hong Chau.
Yeah, and so this is now the third film that they've made together, and I guess his third film in a row with her, right?
The favorite.
So, yeah. So they're clearly like they've got a Dietrich von Sternberg thing happening there, where they get each other and they're supporting each other. So, and she was an exec producer on Poor Things, and I think really shaped it. There's been a lot of interesting post Poor Things conversation I've been seeing, both from women who think it's too male gazy and that it's too much about a woman's discovering her identity through her sexuality, and then also women saying no and sort of defending what the movie is and why it does what it does. And I think Stone was a prime mover in all the decisions along the way. So I mean, she's very much, I think she was involved in how that story was going to be told and what we would see and what the arc of that character was going to be, working obviously from the original novel and the screenplay.
Yeah, and completely. And clearly, she has a great working relationship and a great trust with Yorgos Lanthimos. They are very
Yeah.
much on the same wavelength. I've had the pleasure of doing a couple different Q&As with her throughout awards season. And before the second one I did with her, she's like, I am so sick of talking about this. Can we not talk about this? And I'm like, sure, I don't blame you, because people are taking that and they are twisting it and oversimplifying it and making it like, oh, Emma Stone has a lot of sex and like she's being exploited and
Right.
objectified. And it's like, no, that sexual liberation is crucial to her journey. And
Exactly. And for what it's worth, Lanthimos has now directed 2 Best Actresses, in 2 films in a row. His leading lady has won the Best Actress Oscar, and so that's the kind of thing that makes people want to work with you. So I'm glad Emma Stone's in on that, but I'm sure any other actors who he calls up are like, yes, I'm in.
yeah, for sure. So that sounds great. We will definitely review that. We have been fans of his for a long time prior to Poor Things. So we will definitely review Kinds of Kindness when that comes out on June 21st. And then Emma Stone's also going to be in the new Ari Aster film called Eddington, which reunites Ari Aster with Joaquin Phoenix, who starred in Beau's Afraid. We'll also have Austin Butler and Pedro Pascal, like all the hot people in one thing, like whose career is on fire.
Speaking of directors who can call anybody and get a yes, the lineup that Aster has here is pretty impressive. So curious to see what that's going to be. Always curious to see what he's doing next, even if I don't always love the product.
Yeah, we were kind of torn on Beau's Afraid, like
Yeah,
admired the ambition of it.
Yeah. From a distance. Oh, we're frozen again. Or I am, or she is, or one of us. I don't know.
We?
I don't think
so.
they've really announced any details yet, no.
Yeah, but we will definitely track and follow that. I can speak English today, you guys. My brain is mush. Okay, so speaking of A24, let's just keep it going, because A24 is doing a whole awesome IMAX screening series. They're going to show Ex Machina and Uncut Gems, and I think Annihilation.
No. What was the third one? Was it Annihilation?
I think so.
Gosh, now it's flown out of my head. Maybe Annihilation.
You guys can fact check us. Yes.
But yeah, as I told you before, the idea of watching Uncut Gems in IMAX is already giving me an anxiety attack. So I can't begin to imagine what that would be like. No, Hereditary.
Hereditary, also stressful.
Yes, exactly. Another one that I'm not exactly running out to. But I'm always pro repertory. Like I love, even whether it's something like Boy and the Heron coming back or stuff from a couple years ago, like, yes, give us another chance to get on the big screen. It's not just about the streaming. I saw Everything Everywhere in IMAX. So like A24 has sort of dipped their toes into these waters. I am still waiting for somebody to reissue Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar so I can watch it with an audience.
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to see that on IMAX and just like luxuriate in all of the production design?
IMAX might be a bit de trop, but you know what? If they offer it, I would go.
Yeah,
just to watch that, to watch Jamie Dornan's musical number. If nothing else,
that was amazing. Yeah. Roma Steve says Garland still undecided on him. Why is that? I am a fan. I again, like Ari Aster, like a lot of these filmmakers that A24 has seized upon here. Like they have vision and they have daring, and I'm psyched for Civil War. It's funny, we saw the trailer for Civil War, Nick and I, before we saw Dune 2 in IMAX, and he's like, oh God, this looks dumb. I'm like, no, it doesn't, because Alex Garland's a visionary, and I'm going to show you other movies that make you like him.
Yeah. Now, what I would really like to see is A24 do IMAX reissues of like Keeping Up and You Hurt My Feelings.
Well, I wonder though, how much do you think like Nolan and like Denis Villeneuve doing these big IMAX spectacles has influenced other like smaller distributors to do the same with movies? Because I wouldn't necessarily think of Uncut Gems as an IMAX movie.
Right. And I mean, so obviously I'm sure it wasn't shot that way. They have to, the Safdies have to sort of go in and like reconfigure it. I think it's just a thing that we're seeing more IMAX screens and that people are clearly happy to pay the extra for it for something like Dune. And so they're sort of testing the waters to see like how far out does that interest go? Can we, delve more into art house here? I was just looking through my Facebook memories today, and my review of Zack Snyder's Justice League came up. Remember when that premiere, maybe I guess it's still that way on Max, it's in an IMAX ratio, even though it went straight to HBO Max. So don't be surprised if one of these days, like there's some anniversary and they decide to chuck that sucker back into IMAX because it's already cropped that way.
So it was like a big rectangle like this for you? It wasn't widescreen?
No, when I reviewed it, I remember it was in the IMAX aspect ratio, and they had intentionally done it that way, even though it wasn't going to be. It was still during the pandemic, and it didn't open in IMAX anywhere, to my knowledge.
Okay. Charity and Nancy are also excited about Barb and Star. So yes, let's do that.
Let's make
Teddy
that happen.
Teddy says I love Alex Garland, but Civil War looks beneath him. Men was also kind of a misfire. I dug Men until the very end.
I never got around to Men. I just read so many reviews that were kind of like that I kind of blew it off.
Benjamin, this is so funny. The question you ask, how the heck are Texas and California allies anyway? That's what they said in the trailer. It's so funny. Nick asked that question too. He's like, I can see how maybe are California and New York or anyway.
Texas
Who knows?
and Orange County are allies. No, I don't know.
I don't know. So we will definitely review that. That's coming out pretty soon here in a little bit. So we will definitely review that when that happens. We will also definitely recap The Bear season 3 on our Patreon. Speaking of our Patreon, we loved talking about The Bear. And what we just learned this week is that they are shooting season 4 back to back with season 3.
Yes. And I imagine that means that's going to be everything. Like I just have this hunch that everybody on the show is now hot to trot and getting really great offers.
Yeah.
Io Debris and Eben Moss-Backrack and obviously Jeremy Allen White. And so it's like, all right, we're gonna do 3 and 4 back to back, and then out into the world you go.
And maybe that's okay. Maybe season 4 is fine. Like Succession did 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Maybe that's fine.
I think that most shows end season 1 in a way that's like, well, we could do more, but if this is it, we're done. And so I think TV is always created with some kind of endpoint in mind, whether it's one that they know about or one that they're worried about, So yeah, if they know they got 2 seasons left, they're going to tell us a hell of a story over 2 seasons and then be done, and we'll all be happy about it.
Yeah, so I guess there are reports from local Chicago folks. I don't know if our friend Charlie is here in the chat anywhere, but he is our local Chicago food expert. And I know that some of the reporting out of Chicago is that they're shooting extra episodes and people are being spotted all around town. And
nice.
So yeah, do we know when season 3 of The Bear begins?
I have no idea if they've set that date or not, but I mean, they're just beginning to shoot it now, so it might be premature to try and say. I don't know. I have not seen that information.
Yes. Oh, Derek Kim says, I can explain. Texas and California make up 25% of the United States GDP. They can survive by themselves. So politically, they might not be aligned, but it makes sense together economically. Thank you for that, Derek.
That is a very good point. Yeah. That's about Civil War. It's like, did you watch Years and Years on HBO, that Russell Davies show? Mm-mm. It's basically about the near future and how everything is going to go to hell. And it was both riveting and depressing at the same time. And I kind of get the same vibe from this one. It's like, aren't we already kind of here? I don't know that I want to see this as entertainment, but okay, I'll look at it.
Yeah. Oh, Mick Lebowski says season 3 is coming in June.
Oh, okay, great.
Okay, I believe you. That sounds really good. We'll recap it when it happens.
Patreon.com/BFest all day. We'll be recapping.
We will. I love The Bear. And it was so fun to see them just keep getting called up over and over again at the Emmys, at the Golden Globes, at the SAG Awards. And there seems to be so much love among that crew for every single supporting player. So that vibe we see on screen, that crackle, that camaraderie feels like it's true in real life as well.
And we haven't even gotten to season 2 at the Emmys yet. So, Jamie Lee Curtis's day, I hope, is coming.
Oh, that's true. That's a really good point. Something I know you are excited about, and that is that we can all finally see the latest Frederick Wiseman movie.
What?
Tell us about that, Alonzo.
My favorite documentary of 2023, Menu Plaisir Les Trois Gros, the 4-hour Frederick Wiseman documentary set in the world of fine French cuisine, is streaming all month at pbs.org, and it is airing on terrestrial PBS on March 22nd, 1 week from today. So if you have a DVR, get all 4 hours, maybe watch them at once, maybe watch it in snippets, do whatever works for you. But it's gorgeous, and like, don't watch it on an empty stomach. But it's a beautifully made film, and Frederick Wiseman is, I always say, our greatest living documentarian, even if the Academy constantly ignores him, except for one honorary award. Anyway, yeah, gorgeous movie. Didn't get a ton of theatrical, again, 4 hours long, but PBS is bringing it to America. So please watch it. You won't be sad you did.
So he is prolific, Frederick Wiseman. How old is he? He's in his 90s?
96 or something, yeah.
Is this a good entree to Frederick Wiseman's prolific output, do you think? Is this a good place to start?
I mean, as far as like coming to understand what the style is, he is like the king of fly on the wall. Like, he doesn't do interviews. Like, he doesn't interview his subjects. He doesn't use music unless it's just there, in the atmosphere where he's shooting. He does long takes. He loves process. So this is a movie about how dishes get made. It's about the meetings where they decide what dishes are going to get made. And so, yeah, it's definitely, I think, a good intro into what he does in an atmosphere that is like a lot more fun to be in than, say, like a state mental hospital, which is, like some of the, or a hospice unit, like some of the places where he's made films. If you're looking for a film that is like in a charming location and fairly short, go to Canopy and watch The Store, which is his documentary about the Neiman Marcus flagship store in Dallas, set over the 1982 Thanksgiving and Christmas season. It's a lot of fun.
My God. Early 80s in Dallas at like the department store.
Oh yeah. And there's a glamour shots montage that's just like
amazing. Okay, couple things. Star of New York says he is 94. I'm sorry, Star of Newark. I don't want to get your location wrong. You're in Newark. Please. He's 94.
94.
Just Googled him. Okay, thank you very much.
Him up. Thank you.
But yeah, thank you. And then Cutlass Magazine says, Seth says, I ran into Jeremy Allen White and Oliver Platt 2 blocks from my house and showed them where to find good coffee.
Well, thank you for your service.
And they were nice. Apparently they were both very nice, which is always good to hear. Yes. Dalen says the rule is if Alonzo likes it, I likely will love it. So definitely going to watch this. Thank you.
It's very sweet.
Good job, Alonzo. Finger on the pulse. And Menu Plaisir was our LA Film Critics pick for best documentary this past year.
Also New York Film Critics, also National Society of Film Critics, but didn't even get Oscar shortlisted. So no,
very strange. Also, we have some obits to talk about. Yes. We lost a bunch of folks this week, including Eric Carmen, former lead singer of the Raspberries, better known, I would think, for his solo songs like Hungry Eyes from the Dirty Dancing soundtrack and All by Myself.
Yep.
He was
definitely a key, a major vocalist. And I had forgotten about Hungry Eyes, but the second I read, I was like, oh, right, yes, that's him. And, that Dirty Dancing soundtrack, we forget now what a giant thing it was. Like, it went multi-platinum. There was a whole, like, touring kind of jukebox musical dancey version of it that, like, it was on Broadway, I think. I know it toured at least. So if he wrote that song, like, he lived comfortably on it, I'm sure, for that latter part of his life. But yeah, like the Raspberries, I mean, Go All the Way is Please Go All the Way is a great song. And
a soft rock hit.
Absolutely. And All by Myself, again, like Mariah Carey picked up that torch and ran with it, but his version is very like,
Right. And also, is it his version that is in Bridget Jones?
Oof.
I don't know.
It's been a while. I don't remember.
Maybe it's a cover of it. Anyway, but like, yeah, that is that song. David LeMan. Yeah, David LeMan, thank you so much. Says, I was glad to hear AMC will air Snowpiercer, the 4th and final season after TNT stopped airing the original programming. It would have been a bummer if they left us on a cliffhanger. I've never seen the Snowpiercer show, but I loved the movie.
Ditto. Yeah, I've not seen the show. I'm always glad when like shows land somewhere, because as somebody who's seen a lot of shows that I love get canceled, like other networks sort of talk about stepping up and then they don't. I'm always thrilled when it happens. Oh, speaking of TV, Criterion announced today that in June they are releasing Barry Jenkins' The Underground Railroad.
Oh, we recapped that on our Patreon.
We did indeed. And
that's great.
Out on Blu-ray.
Wasn't that on HBO Max?
I think it was Amazon Prime.
Was it? Okay, I don't remember. Yeah, you're right. It was on Prime. You're right.
Yeah.
So tell me again where it's going to be airing.
No, it's going to Criterion is putting out a Blu-ray in June.
Oh,
So
cool.
physical media.
Yes, Mick, you're right. Celine Dion did All by Myself. What are we thinking of? Can't live if living is without you.
That's what I'm thinking of. Yes, sorry.
Thank you.
Celine
But they are
Mariah,
similarly bombastic 70s ballads.
Exactly.
You are right, Mick. Very good. So we have to talk about him, of course. And then Carl Wallinger, who was the lead singer who who was World Party essentially, and was a part of the Waterboys. He died at 66. Both of these gentlemen, both these musicians, we don't have cause of death on either of them.
Oh, okay. Bummer. Yeah. Wallinger was like a giant of sort of power pop, of the 80s and 90s, and was one of many rotating water boys. Like you pull up their Wikipedia page and like their roster is insane. But definitely played a key role on like I think their second and third albums. And then World Party was really big and toured with like 10,000 Maniacs, and one of my favorite 90s bands, Jellyfish, I think opened for them for a while. So he was a biggie. And then breaking, just as we were about to start news, it was reported by Deadline that Joe Camp passed away. He is, for you youngins who don't remember, the guy behind the Benji movies, which were hugely popular in the 70s. There was like, I think when the year that Benji came out, it was like a top 10 movie, and it was usually if a like a kid's animal movie was going to be that big, it'd be from Disney. But no, Joe Camp, his Mulberry Street Productions, which were based in Dallas, we used to use their facilities for USA Film Festival stuff, like for screening short films and stuff. But yeah, he was this kind of not one man, obviously, but like started this operation in Dallas, and Benji led to sequels and a TV show and all kinds of different stuff. He had this weird follow-up comedy called Homps about the army in the mid 1800s, like experimenting with using camels in the desert instead of horses. Anyway, he was one of a kind and a definite like indie entrepreneur in a lot of ways, even though his output was very mainstream and family friendly. So R.I.P. Joe Camp.
I had no idea there was a Dallas connection to Benji. So interesting. So Daniel Warren Guitar has a question I want to get to. He says, you've mentioned several streaming services. Which is your favorite for movie selection?
Ooh, that's a toughie. I mean, I'll tell you, if you have a library card, find out if you have access to Canopy, Kanopy. It is free. You get like 10 or something. They changed it to like tickets and some weird system, but anyway, they have an incredible catalog of like recent mainstream stuff like A24 titles, but also a deep bench of classics, a lot of Kino Lorber, a lot of Criterion, the entire Frederick Wiseman filmography up to Menu Plaisir is on Canopy. So yeah, that's a great one. Criterion Channel is really good, obviously. It depends on what you're looking for. I mean, if you're talking about like kind of mainstreamy stuff, you're looking at like Max, Hulu, Prime. But if you want to get deeper into like, say, art house, international documentary, you might look into some smaller ones like Metrograph at Home always has some really interesting curation, or Ovid, or Film Movement. There are a lot of choices out there.
Yeah, I would say Criterion for sure. And Canopy is such a great deal if you have a library card, which is free.
Yeah.
It's awesome. They have a really interesting, like well-curated cross-section of film at Canopy. So I'm a fan of theirs. Matt Bullion says, sorry, I'm late to the party, guys. Happy Friday to you as well, for sure. Raymond says, yeah, we mentioned that earlier, Raymond. Yeah, A24 is going to do Uncut Gems, Hereditary, and Ex Machina on IMAX. If you guys see any of those, let us know. Report back to us for sure. Bob says, finally tuning in to the live recap just in time for all the obits. Sorry. People die. We want to honor them, of course. So, but thank you for making it here, Bob. I know you were always up at your matinees with your AMC Stubbs pass. You are very good. Mick Lebowski says Apple for TV is great. We do a lot of Apple TV shows.
Yep, for sure.
There. So later on today, we're going to take off in a sec. We have a review of Irish Wish. Hence, I'm wearing green. Are you wearing green, Alonzo?
No, pinch me.
Okay, pinch, pinch. So we're going to talk about the latest from Lindsay Lohan after Falling for Christmas. Now, this is her St. Patrick's Day movie. It is called Irish Wish. And then later on our Patreon, we're going to recap the Feud finale, the season with Capote and the Swans that ended in very tearful and fantastical fashion. So that is that. Bartleby Shrivner, thank you so much for being here, and a channel member as well. So we're glad to see that you caught us in time. Cannes is coming up in May. Wondering if either of you put much thought into the festival. Clint Eastwood's new movie looks oddly non-political. Coppola's new film is always exciting. Anything you're looking forward to? Alonzo, you have been to the Croisette because you're a fancy person.
I have
I thought
not.
you have.
No, never.
You've
That's
been to
on my
Berlin
bucket
and
list.
Venice.
I've been to Berlin and Venice, but I've never been to Cannes. I would love to one of these days if someone will send me. Yeah, what was I just reading about that was gonna actually the Yorgos Lanthimos movie. They were saying because it's opening in June, and it's not going to be doing the fall festivals, and maybe that means it's going to be at Cannes.
Oh.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, for like most people, for me, Cannes is sort of like waiting for the trickle down, like, oh, that sounds great. When's it going to open? Okay, well, whenever. But yeah, I've never been, so I don't follow super closely like what's angling. But
yeah, I'm not sure what's coming out either.
It's always it's like the Oscars are over, and then Cannes is really where the next year starts. I mean, yeah, Sundance obviously is, has things going on in Berlin, whatever. But I think Cannes, for like the big international heavy hitters, this is where they're going to emerge.
Yes. A few things I want to get to. James Bunt, are you going to start dancing during Obit? No.
Oh God, no.
No, we're not going to sing dance.
The camera's not going to be back over there when you can't read the names on the screen.
These people are dead. Da, 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 da. No, we're not going to do that because we're tasteful and we're sitting down.
Right.
Also, Victor DiGiovanni says, I wanted to second the Shogun request. We've gotten a couple of requests for Shogun. We should maybe ponder that at some point. I know that we are going to do Ripley for sure.
Yes, definitely.
And possibly Sugar. Yes. On Apple TV. So there's some good TV coming. And then my good friend Jared Diamond, longtime baseball writer, says Rookie of the Year is on Mac. So be ready to dust that one off of our opening day in a few weeks. There you go. And Benjamin has a question that I don't know the answer to. Perhaps you do. Christy and Alonzo, how do films get selected for a Criterion edition? For instance, well, Freddie Got Fingered is on Criterion because that's part of their Razzie tribute.
Right. I don't know the full process of like what kind of panel does things. I know they'll have individual things that they say are curated by certain people. Like, for example, my friend Jenny Olson and critic Caden Mark Gardner did the sort of MASC series that was like all about transmasculine narratives and documentaries. And I've seen other little kind of sub things they do on the channel that they'll say, curated by so and so. But the larger process I don't know, and I also don't really know the larger process of like what gets picked every month for physical media release.
Yeah, but they have good taste. Yes,
they do.
Also, Barbara, hello Barbara, good to see you. Mentions the Fall Guy is getting great reviews out of South by Southwest.
So it is, yeah, and so is Civil War. So those are two films to look forward to for sure.
A movie like Fall Guy, though, will play like gangbusters in that theater, that big Paramount theater in Austin.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of custom made. So, in the same way that our joke for Sundance is like, yeah, what did you think of it at sea level? For Austin, it's like, what did you think of it when not stuffed with beer and barbecue?
Right. Queso. Once the queso wore off, what did you really think of this movie? I'm sure it was a lot of fun, but all the pieces are there. Like David Leitch makes really fun, wildly choreographed, stylized films that are action comedies. Emily Blunt and Ryan Gosling had crazy chemistry just in that brief little snippet at the Oscars. So
for sure. Yeah, no, fingers crossed. I hope it's fun.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks to all you guys. No, Roma Steve, we did not cover the Razzies. We think the Razzies are too interested in like low-hanging fruit, and they are irrelevant now.
Lazies is what they are.
Yes. Oh, David, thank you again. You're so kind. One more last thing. Christy and Alonzo, have you guys seen or heard any good things about Back to Black, the Amy Winehouse biopic? I have not.
Nada.
I've seen posters for it.
I think there's a trailer floating around, but yeah, I don't know that anybody's seen it yet. So nope, nothing.
Yeah, for sure. But we'll review it for sure. You guys are
Absolutely.
wonderful. Have a great Friday. Have a great
Yes.
St. Patrick's Day weekend. Don't drink too much green beer because
Yeah.
that shit's gross.
No. Have a great weekend, everybody. Have a great marathon, Christy. And
Thank you.
we'll be back next week with more. We'll see you guys then. Thanks for watching today. Bye.
Thanks for being here. Come back next Friday. Bye.